Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Goddess Guidance. It is me, Hestia Aphrodite, back with another wellness, spiritual, psychological minded topic for us today. If you happen to be new to this channel, please be sure to like and subscribe to the Goddess Guidance community. We are all about expansion, divinity, love, harmony, and all the higher vibrational frequency minded things in life, activities in life. So, without further ado, let us jump into our topic today. We are continuing on with the spirit of jealousy. And I know for us light workers and healers of the world, sometimes it gets very challenging and difficult for us to spot jealousy, to spot frenemies, enemies, people who do not prefer us, especially those within our social circle, quote unquote friends, amongst our family members. It can be extremely challenging. And the reason why it is extremely challenging is because the spirit of jealousy and envy is supposed to be confusing. It's supposed to be tricky, right? Because there are very subtle signs that we are oftentimes not paying attention to. But if we choose to pay attention to them, I promise you, we'll be able to better discern and identify our tribe versus those who are claiming to be a part of our tribe. So today we are going to be focusing on 5 subtle signs of jealousy. So number 1, these people in your life don't call or reach out to see how you're doing. But when they do call, they desire to tell you all the great things that are happening to them. So it's a very me conversation. And they're doing this because they actually want to make you jealous with all the information that they're telling you, right? So let's break this down. You get a phone call and it's from a friend that you've known for years. You rarely ever chat with this person. Maybe you'll send a text message here or there. You'll go out during the holidays sometimes, but consistent conversation is not really a thing. Or consistent conversation is a thing, and it's more so about that person telling you a whole bunch of stuff that's happening to them. One, that relationship lacks reciprocity, first and foremost. And true friendship, true tribe, soul tribe activity is about reciprocity. I ask you how you're doing. You ask me how I'm doing. You tell me about all the things happening in your life. I tell you about the things happening in my life. But this concept in particular about them not calling to necessarily see how you're doing, but they're calling to essentially brag is extremely important because you have to understand the intricacies of the spirit of jealousy. The goal is to make you feel how they feel about you. Follow me. The goal is to make you feel how they feel about you. Therefore, the goal is to make you feel jealous, to make you feel insecure because you and your presence and your light make them feel insecure. So again, they're not calling to ask you how you're doing, to hear more of the greatness that's happening in your life. Absolutely not. What they actually are is in competition with you. And in being in competition with you, they're calling to let you know, hey, I just got this new promotion. Hey, I'm working on this presentation. It's really intricate. Listen to my topics about it. Hey, I'm doing all these fantastic things. I just went on this fantastic vacation. I just sat at this beautiful, luxurious restaurant. Look at me, look at me. And because we are the kind of people who, one, are minding our business and living our best lives, right? We are not jealous of those things. Actually, essentially, that person is sort of communicating that we're living similar lives. And I'm so happy that you went on that fabulous vacation. Let me see the photos. I'm so grateful that you got another degree. How fantastic is that? I am so proud that you were just named head chairperson of this committee, because that's fantastic and that's very much so in alignment with your skill set. But the true intention of those things is not necessarily to get our admiration or to receive our affirmation. The goal of hearing those things and receiving those phone calls is to somehow make us jealous. So the reason why they're calling, we have to understand it's not to check in on us. It's not to genuinely understand how we're doing. It is not to show us reciprocity and compassion and grace and empathy. The true reasonings for those conversations are for those individuals to, one, be energy vampires first and foremost, because they're people addicts typically, meaning they get their energy from other individuals because they don't have high frequency vibes to be produced within themselves. So they're calling to be energy vampires, but on top of that, they're calling you and telling you these things and sharing these things in hope that it will conjure up jealousy, it will conjure up envy, it will conjure up insecurity within them, because they're just simply projecting the insecurities that you bring into their lives because of your light. It is not fair. It is actually a very unacceptable thing to do, but it is a very subtle way of confusing you. It is a very subtle way of energy draining you. And it is a very subtle method and means of spewing toxicity in your life. So moving on to number 2, another subtle sign of jealousy is you are no longer being invited to things anymore. Once upon a time, from these individuals, you would receive birthday invites, maybe holiday party invites, invites to hang out with their groups of friends or whomever. And if it is a family member, maybe you were consistently going with this person to the movies or to hang out, go to parties, things like that. But suddenly, somehow, some way, the invitation no longer reaches you. And that's because they don't want you there. Because for you to show up in all of your authenticity, for you to show up in all your light and your beautiful divine essence, in their minds, is to take all of the attention away from them. And now, because they're jealous of you, they have the spirit of envy within them. They see you as a competitor. You're no longer a friend. You're no longer a sister. You're no longer a brother. You may no longer be a daughter or a son to this person. You may no longer be a partner. You may no longer be a boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife, spouse. You have become this person's competitor because that is what they perceive in their mind. That is how the spirit of jealousy and envy can trick one's brain, and having them see somebody that they should love as someone that they should hate. So when you stop receiving invites to things, or you realize like, hey, I'm not hanging out with that person too much anymore. Why is that? What's going on here? But they call me all the time. They're telling me all these things about what's going on in their life all the time. But for some reason, I just can't get this person to hang out with me anymore. Or I see them on Instagram hanging out with so many other people when once upon a time I used to be there. Or I hear that they're having a holiday party or a get together, and once upon a time I used to get those invitations. Why is it that all of a sudden I'm no longer getting those invitations? And again, it's because they don't want you there. And not only do they not desire your presence, they also want you to feel bad that you did not receive an invitation. They also want you to understand and make you feel, once again, how you make them feel, and you make them feel insecure and jealousy and envious and excluded and dismissed and as if they don't exist, not because you have done anything, because your mere presence, your mere light, your mere divinity sort of does make these people invisible, not because you're doing anything, simply because you're existing. When you walk into a room, everyone sees you. Everyone sees that bright shining light. And unfortunately, when there is a bright shining light, think of it as the sun, and it's shining down so beautifully, maybe on this gorgeous flower, for others looking at the sun or looking at that flower that's very much so being illuminated, it is blinding. They will miss other things around that flower because the light is so profound. The light is shining and illuminating so much that other things cannot be seen in the presence of something so divine. In the analogy, it was the flower, but in real life, it's you. So again, if you are no longer being invited to things, that's simply because, one, they do not want you around, but then two, they want you to feel bad and feel excluded. That brings me to subtle sign of jealousy number 3. You will find that others will do what you do, but not as a means for inspiration, but as a means of competition. When someone has the spirit of jealousy or envy within them, or it gets activated by your divinity, your light, your presence, they no longer look at you as person, friend, family member, whomever. They look at you as a competitor because that is how their brain and their mind is falsely wired. Rather than looking at you as someone who should be a source of inspiration to them, they're looking at you as someone that they need to compete with. So it speaks to their grandiosity and their false sense of self that has been created by their ego. So follow me here. We are made up of multiple parts, but the main aspects of who we are made up of is 1, a soul, 2, a mind, and then 3, a body. Very important distinctions. We are not our mind. We are not our bodies. We are in essence having a human experience. We are a spirit, a soul, a vibration. We are life force having a human experience, and we have access to a mind and we have access to a body. But when we start identifying with our minds, AKA our egos, rather than identifying with the beautiful spirit that we are, we lose our essence. We lose our divine connection. We lose our unique personality, our authenticity, and the thing that makes us extremely special. So when I say that a person has created a false sense of self via their ego, I'm communicating that they have created a false sense of self. They have created an imagination of who they are based off of their thinking. They have no longer identified with their spirit. They're no longer identifying with their soul and their essence. They're now identifying with the story that they have created in their mind, and they are acting that out every single day. And because they're acting that out, because they're not looking at themselves as a divine soul in a human body, having a once in a lifetime experience, they will look at you as beneath them. They will look at us light workers and healers as inferior. And they are thinking of themselves as superior, because if they just looked at themselves as their true being, their true essence, as spirits, we understand that we are all having a collective experience. We are all in union together. We are all one. We all have beautiful divine gifts that we can share with one another to create more harmony and peace within this world. That is not how they are identifying. They are identifying with their mind because they have lost connection with their spirit. They have lost connection with their soul. Therefore, they had to have created an idea of who they are in their minds. And typically when people create an idea of who they are, which is a figment of their imagination, there is a deep desire for power and control. And that power and control is seeking domination. It's seeking for one to be on top and another to be on the bottom. It is seeking some kind of hierarchy because their fragile sense of self, their fragile ego needs to feel important. So these kinds of people, when they see you walk into the room with all of your beautiful bravado and grandiosity, the true grandiosity, not because you're seeking it, not because you asked for it, not because you're putting on an act. It's just simply because of your higher vibrational frequency, your ability to live in the dimensions of love, beauty, joy, abundance, creativity, and courage. They feel automatically inferior, which is a complete assault on their fragile ego. And if someone is identifying with their minds, that means they have completely lost connection to their soul. And in losing connection to their soul, essentially they're an open vessel just waiting for dark energies and spirits to move within them. Hence how people commune with the spirit of jealousy and envy. Because to identify with your spirit and its pure perfection and divinity, we understand that we have no competition. And if we desire to have a competitor, the competitor is ourselves. And we're here to learn from each other, and we're here to be inspired from each other. But again, that's not how these specific individuals work and how they process information, because they are completely identified not with their spirits, but with their false sense of self. And another way of explaining this is that these people are egomaniacs. They really are. And I know that you've probably heard that word, but maybe never processed exactly what it is. And when earth angels, light workers, and healers are around, their false sense of self cannot be validated. It can't be, because here you have pure authenticity surrounding the space. You have pure light, pure energy, pure love, higher vibrational frequencies. So bringing it back to point number 3, which is they will do what you do, but not as a means of inspiration, but as a means of competition. It goes back to this concept of, if you work out consistently, they will work out consistently, not because they're inspired by your workouts and your willingness to put yourself first, your self-care first, and your wellness first. No, they're doing it because, oh, they work out, then I'm going to work out. They eat well, then I'm going to eat well too. Oh, I see that they communicate with people in this way. Well, I'm going to try to do that too. Not as a means of bettering themselves, but as a means of trying to prove to themselves that they are better than you. And because of the way that they're thinking, this is not something that's sustainable, right? Because when we're doing these things as a means of discipline, as a means of self-care, as a means of prioritizing ourselves and showing ourselves that we love ourselves, they're doing it as competition. They're doing it for the sense of competition. And in doing it for the sense of competition, it will not sustain itself. It will not be about discipline. There will be no willpower. There will be a lack of consistency because it's for show. Because it goes back to their false sense of ego. They're just trying to prove to themselves that they're better than you. That's all. They're not doing it to be a healthier individual. So when you're doing it for reasonings that are not built on the foundation of character and kindness and betterment for you and society, it becomes tremendously difficult to maintain the thing. So moving to subtle sign of jealousy number 4, just overall shady behavior. Those are things that we tend to overlook because, let's say we've been friends with this person for a really long time, or they are family members, but passive aggressive antics and remarks are unacceptable. We should not tolerate those things. People who ambush us, right? So by that, I mean surrounding you with people you don't prefer to be around because of their energy, and they don't necessarily tell you that those other people are going to be around. So you walk into a situation blindly and they're sort of hoping for a reaction in one way or another. That's shady. Ambushing is unacceptable. Gang stalking, unacceptable, right? Again, passive aggressive remarks, backhanded compliments. Oh, I didn't see you there. Oh, I didn't even realize you were here. They say those things simply because you make them feel invisible. So now it's their turn to make you feel the way that you make them feel, right? Maybe there's been a friend that has lacked courtesy or flexibility. You know, you always have to be on their schedule. They always have to pick the restaurant. They always have to be, the center of attention. They're doing that for a reason. And another example of overall shady behavior is people who are nice in one setting and nasty in another. I know you experienced that. That's honestly the telltale sign that someone's energy I need to pay attention to, right? Like this concept of, maybe one-on-one we're good. The conversation flows very well. But when we're in front of a group of people, it seems to be a very different dynamic. It seems like you don't want me here. It seems like you don't desire to talk to me. Or maybe one-on-one, I get on your nerves or, things seem to be very touchy. But when we're in public, everything's great. Pay attention to those things. If someone truly loves you, if someone truly likes you, if someone truly appreciates your energy and your vibration, they're going to treat you kindly, consistently. Yes, you may have a falling out here or there, but this hot and cold situation will never be. And the last subtle sign of someone's jealousy will come from you, will come from your body. There will be something that lets you know somehow, some way, intuitively, the physical body, the soul body will communicate to you that you need distance from this person, or something within me no longer desires to be around certain people. There will be a physical reaction of truth. There will be a physical reaction that your body will communicate to you. Your intuition, your body somewhere within you, an omen outside of you, whatever. But there will be something somewhere that signals to you that, maybe me hanging out with this person isn't something I should do. Ooh, they're giving me a phone call right now. Something within me does not desire to talk to them. Or that person came into the room, something about me no longer wants to be in that room. There are going to be like these little things that you start to feel within yourself that make you now aware that something has shifted, something has changed. And understand that people could be your true friend in the beginning, because maybe you guys are on the same level. Maybe you're experiencing the same things, or maybe you have a sibling, and you guys grew up together, and there's a day where your paths go completely different. People are no longer peers. Maybe one person is shining a little bit brighter than the other. And that's why paying attention to these more subtle signs of jealousy are important, because we have to consistently take inventory of the people around us. If we assume that everyone who was with us 10 years ago should still be with us 10 years later, we're badly mistaken. We are sadly mistaken. We have to consistently take inventory, because the spirit of jealousy can enter someone's life at any moment. Because again, oftentimes these individuals are identifying with their mind. They are identifying with their false self and their fragile ego. Through the course of life, traumatic events happen to people. Traumatic situations occur, and in that, it bruises their ego. It shifts their psyche. And because of that, someone who once identified with their spirit, who once identified with their divine essence because of a really bad experience, a really horrific, traumatic experience, now is starting to identify with their ego. Now is starting to rely on their false sense of self to get through life every day, which then will make them more susceptible to certain kinds of spirits, certain kinds of energies and entities to come into their disappeared essence, their disappeared soul. They are now an open portal, an open vessel for any and everything, because their true essence has left them. So if you are feeling something within you that's telling you to keep your distance from certain individuals, please listen. Your body is trying to warn you of something, and it is wise for you to heed. As always, I am sending all of you off in love and light, but most importantly, I'm sending you off with boundaries and protection. May you continue to cover yourself with discernment, to give yourself the ability to see all that you must see, accept all that you must accept, and let go. Let go of anyone whose time has come and gone. It is okay for us to release people. Change is okay. The goal is to die a little bit every day, because in that death, in that ego death, we are resurrected into our most beautiful divine self. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.